Okay, so hello, sir. Welcome to this special Zoom session. And we, the Astitya Prakashan, is very happy to have you here. I think this is going to be my second talk with you, and we had like one talk before also. And I think Dawn to Dusk Rain Dancing, it's your third poetry
Yeah,
book, if I'm not wrong.
yeah,
So welcome again.
yeah.
Welcome again, and I think this will have a like very comprehensive conversation we'll have today. So first of all, I'd like to begin with asking, how are you? How are you doing? Yeah, hello.
I didn't get your question. Can
No,
you?
no, I asked you
I
just
didn't.
like, how are you? Just in general, I asked you.
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine. I'm
Okay.
enjoying writing poetry again.
Yeah.
Happy to see this third book.
So I think we met after 1.5 years. We did talk about your last book quite a long time back. And till then we didn't have any touch with that. Now I'm very happy to see your another book coming, as I have wished you that may I will able to send you another book. So that's very like generous, and like it's a overwhelming experience for me. So sir, tell me, how was your whole the process? It was like after writing this book, how did you feel? The last book, when we had conversation, you narrated that you penned down your childhood memories, and like whatever things were there, you started to write poems through that only. Like as little I remember for that moment. And this moment, like as I have read some of the context of your book, I got to know it's a compilation of 40 poems. And since you had a very great bond with your father, so it also highlights that things in your poetry. So how the experience was writing this book?
Now, in this compilation, if you can see, I have tried to uh, see the world from four eyes. The first, me as a child. Then the second, me as a more grown-up adult,
Mm,
as a father, and finally as with my grandson.
mm,
So the inner arch, what I'm trying to portray is the
mm,
inner child. I want to go back to the childhood, whatever be, because as you know, I started writing poems
mm,
after late in my life, after 60 years. So I'm feeling that, at this time back, the best time in my life would have been probably the childhood. So I'm
mm,
trying to at least poetically go back to that uh, even though it is physically impossible, but at least from a, and my grandson, of course, has been inspiring. You can see if you read the poem, you can see that some of the poems are entirely his perspective of life. And so
okay.
I have a sort of mix of four generations. From me as a child, my father and mother, the parents that period. At that time, I am a child. Then I became father. Then I have a grandson. So this cycle is go soon. In one of the poems, I'm portraying that. So the cycle will go on like a circle. We have no escape from that. But this is a sort of celebration poem. It's not, as the title indicates, it's a sort of celebration of human harmony with nature, our memories, our life, our emotion, the moments of poignancy and moments of sadness, pain. Of course, when you become aged, you cannot avoid an amount of pathos. It will certainly underline. You, you can see in some of them. But generally, I have taken a very positive look. And after our last interview, a couple of times I've been hospitalized, and then I started thinking about how long I can write poetry. These sort of things are inevitable as you grow up in life.
Yes,
So that is
definitely.
the back. Yeah. And
I
what
think,
I want to tell, yeah,
no, sir, you continue.
no, what I try to convey, I've tried to
Mhm.
convey in probably not in a very complicated manner. I put it straight across to the reader, very accessible. I've consciously avoided any sort of images like a painter paints. I try to paint with the words so that the reader can simply read and see that imagery. If that feeling is found by the reader also, then I'm happy.
Yes, definitely. So some of the very emotional things you have just said, like the ups and downs we see in our life, and then we look at back and where we have come from, we realized our roots. So this feeling hits very hard at a age. I don't know what that age, what is the perfect age to hit that, memories, that one day you were just having your time and you remember your childhood days, like seeing other person enjoying the same thing. So I think the way you have created this ideology here, the way you have written down the poem, the theory behind it, it is very relevant for readers also at this point, because we may see, me being at this age, I cannot relate to a person who is 60 or above that, but I can definitely relate to my school days, that I had to do this. So for me, it is also very difficult to pen down all the emotional moments, all the memories that I have spent in my childhood, that I had with my father. So please don't get very personal into the question, but I'd like to ask, like, when you try to pen down your memories as a, like, child, and then as a father, then as a, grandfather, so like, do you have the obstacle in remembering things, or like penning it down perfectly the way you have in your mind? Do you feel that gap?
No, absolutely not, because I could remember exactly as it happened even now. Because certain
Hmm.
things, we don't consciously do, but it will go into your subconscious. So that will call
Hmm.
at certain moment, at certain moment, then you can perfectly portray what was it exactly then, even though more about 6 decades have passed. Even then, you will remember exactly what happened. So I didn't have much difficulty in recalling what happened in the past.
Okay. So, sir,
Yeah.
as I was going through your book, I have a PDF copy of your book, and I tried to read some of the poems. As far as I can see, you use your words very carefully, and like very relevant words that we are all can relate with. And still you narrate a story out of it in your poems. But did you ever think to go for actually the storytelling, not the poems? Because I have seen authors, they start with poetry and they go into short stories, then they develop into a novelist. So did you ever think of like that, leaving the poem genre ever? Did you think like that?
No, because short stories, I think, offers a larger frame.
Hmm.
Poems, you have a a page or two printed,
Yeah.
maybe some 10 lines, 20 lines, 30 lines. But more than that, if you read poetry, it will get a little. But then, so storyteller or a story writer has a larger frame.
Mm.
The story can run into 30 pages or even like that.
Mm.
So what I thought was capsuling the idea, like writing a haiku, traditional Japanese haiku with 575 syllable combination.
Mm.
It's a very difficult and demanding job to compress the ideas.
Mm-hmm.
I think probably I may be able to write a story, but
Mm-hmm.
then I don't want to write a story about what happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to write something totally unrelatable to my personal self.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, I find it difficult to do that. So I can't find the poetry.
Okay. So,
In fact, a couple of poems, if you can see,
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
a couple of poems in this book, you can see that I'm totally uh, viewing it from a different angle.
Mm-hmm.
Like the poem Spark, it's a romantic poem. It's not something I have not really experienced that way.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm experimenting that way. But most of the poems, at least 60% of the poems are from my own perspectives of what happened or what is uh, happening. So now, even now, with my grandchild,
Yeah.
maybe I'll come with your idea of writing a story. Try. It's not
Mm.
easy. It's
It's
difficult.
not
Something
easy.
I've not tried so.
Yeah. Like while I was scrolling my phone, I got to see one poem of yours that is Unforgettable Kiss. I didn't write any lines in the poems, but I my eyes, got this lines: meeting my grandson after a prolonged hospitalization, wearing the mask as a precaution as advised. So here it's very strange. After reading these lines, I went to your poems. I read out, and I imagine that for other person it can be a very simple thing, like as simple as that you came from hospital and your close one is coming to give you a hug. But the poem you have written, it feels like a story only. That's why I asked you this question: that did you ever consider writing a story? So I think after you having time with your grandson, this is very good time to like turning your poems into stories, because it's beautiful, really beautiful. The way you see poems from your eyes through your lens, it's different. For me, it just can be like any normal thing in any other day. But since you have this emotional connection with your closed ones, or like your nature, your childhood, so everything feels very relatable to us also here. So at that point, I was like giving my justification that it is the high time we should consider.
Writing a story. Yeah, I get
Yeah.
it. See, there is one thing is metaphorically the mask. When did the idea of mask come to our life first? When we had that pandemic issue. That's the
Mm,
first time. No, we have seen doctors wearing masks, but
mm,
our wearing masks. So mask is considered a defense against no everything
mm,
unknown. Defense of the unknown. Virus is not seen. Defense of the unknown.
mm.
So the child is able to throw away all your defenses.
Yes.
This is actually a real life situation. I was in the hospital critically for some time, and I was advised not to. I was actually advised to wear two masks. So to write two masks in the poem is little. Uh, it do not look that nice. But then he just ripped off, means he just made me helpless. his affection, sometimes it happens, children can take you to silence you. Their actions are unpredictable
Mm-hmm.
and so endearing, so that we cannot really uh, shrug it off. So mask is metaphorically, I thought, befitting that situation. And secondly, he's not concerned. He's absolutely uh, upset with the idea of my wearing a mask.
Mm.
When normally I have gives closely with my chin. So he just ripped off, because he usually rip off my spectacles. So just like that, he ripped off my mask. That before a child, every grandfather is a helpless as it is. It's very simple as that. I think I'll certainly consider your idea of writing stories.
Mm-hmm.
I think that art I have to master. I'll
Yeah.
certainly try on that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for considering my opinion on that.
Yeah.
Also, also like also this happens like what what is your daily writing routine? Like, do you just write instantly, or it's a daily habit of yours to pen down the experience you have every day? How does it come to you?
Now, most of the poems the experience come spontaneously.
Hmm.
I can narrate a recent incident when
Hmm.
one of my students came to see me. He showed me a couple of the artworks he has done.
Hmm.
That was mainly caricatures and portraits. So I asked him, do you do any other sort of art,
Hmm.
like a painting about a landscape, a tapestry, or something like that? He said, I'll check up and I'll forward it to you. So he forwarded to me two poems, two of his artworks. One was of a desert which the 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 camel people are. From that, I made a poem in just a few seconds, and I sent it to him back. And he said, "No, you have completely
Hmm.
transformed my, what I had perceived when I do the artwork into something extremely philosophical one."
Hmm.
The lines just came like that. The second picture got me into a long thinking. I had thought about it, how I would write about it. It was a picture of, some doves, white doves flying above waters within a brook. And brook's sides are sort of constructed with laterite stones. So what poem I can write about it, no idea was coming to my mind. Then one day, suddenly I felt that, this is a trap of life and death. Life begins. So we always try to fly up, 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 then we go down.
Hmm.
So at some stage, we realize that flying parallelly to the water is probably the best way to live. That is a philosophy of, probably the mid path. You don't crave too much for the riches, or you don't really go to the level of the starving. Uh, so you are mid path. Your desires are limited. You can spend your time, instead of going for a 5-star uh, hotel and having a dinner, you can just spend that much time happily reading or writing something.
Hmm.
So your desires are limited at certain age. At certain age, it is not, definitely not. I can see the the present day, uh, you can spend money like that.
Hmm.
But the thing is that we have to, our needs are very limited. and we should not pamper ourselves. So like that, it sometimes, call without your knowing. You cannot sit with a sheet of paper and write a poem. It is not just, I have tried that, never, at least to me. At least to me, it just come without a notice. Dawn to Dusk Rain Dancing also, one day it was raining. So I could relate to my native place where there are a lot of peacocks. And peacocks dances during the rain. You can dance even from dawn to dusk. Because, typically it's their season. That's so rains or rain clouds even will bring peacocks. And I've seen a lot of peacocks in my ancestral village. Nowadays, I don't go there much to my house in the village. We have just maintained it there. But then there, if I see a peacock in the city here, then certainly it is people will gather around to see it. It is not seen in the city. It is seen in certain places. I believe in Delhi, seen, some other places it's seen. I've been to Tamil Nadu, it was seen there. But everything is beautiful. You see peacock, everything about peacock is beautiful. That is why the peacock plume is related to Krishna, Lord Krishna, so much. So that is it. It is just like, you don't know when poetry comes. I have not written anything for 2-3 weeks, but then I have written a series after that. In 1 week, probably 5, 6, 7 poems. I still have around 300 unpublished poems. So I can't really say. But if I sit here with my laptop or I cannot really run a poem. Even out of this interview, a poem may come to me at later stage. I can't say when it comes, how it comes.
Okay. So
it's probably overflowing.
okay. So sir, that was like, I was very overwhelmed to hear all these thoughts from you, that how the poetry comes naturally to you. And like, I think this is one of the specificity of the poets. Poems or like poetries come automatically to them. Whatever words they see, whatever keywords they find, they can write a whole poetry out of it. So, sir, what do you expect people after reading your book? How should they view your thoughts, your writings, your poems? What should be their thought process? Or what kind of reactions do you expect from your readers?
See, what I have tried is to, as I said, see it, enjoy it, short and sweet, crisp, one or two page poems. The point here is that I make it accessible. I've avoided the use of abstract languages. Poets do quite frequently, quite often. I also write abstract poems, but I have not included any of the poems which is written in abstract languages. I think that there is a desire in everybody's mind to go back to the child, because, at my generation at least, probably may not yours, my generation, childhood meant happiness. Now childhood, after probably, 8th standard or 9th standard, you go to a sort of cocoon, you then strive to pass this exam, that exam. In your, because these are necessary hurdles of modern day life. which I didn't have. So that way, for me, childhood is a very, very happy experience. So I want all to feel that, and I have given some importance to the environment around us, because I have feeling that we have been hearing even recent Sikkim floods,
Yeah.
cloudburst, and
Yeah. Yeah.
such a beautiful place. Have you been to Sikkim? I don't know, but it's such a beautiful place.
Mm-hmm.
Still some difficult climbing, but it's a beautiful place. But then, sadly, how we deal with our environment is like cutting the roots of tree of life.
Mm.
So I have paid, I have, I have viewed nature as with due respect and awe. And in this book also, I have done that. I try to
Yeah.
balance that, because unless you have your environment unpolluted. Recently, I had been to a hills for a short vacation, and I could see sparrows. See, common house sparrows thrive only in a place where pollution is less. And I could see, I could watch it with for hours, flying from this to that, and then in the evening go its nest. Where I've stayed, the veranda, there was a pillar, and below that there was a nest. So it come at the right time, go back to the nest. But do you see sparrows around in your place? I don't see sparrows here. So we are living in such an artificial, polluted environment. We are risking ourselves. So compared to that, probably the old village life would have been much better. But nevertheless, development is necessary. So that is why even the government is giving high priority to green idea of green. That is why the book cover itself is substantially green.
Mm. Yeah. It was very, like, I don't have words to express, but talking with you for the second time also brings the same kind of enjoyment that we had the last time. And like when we have these Zoom meetings, we have a very limited time, sir. So I also wish this time that wish we could have, talked on other platforms. But whatever it is, I think the quality matters. No matter how much quantitatively we are speaking, at the end of the day, the quality matters. The quality
True.
conversation we are having right now. So it was very overwhelming. Again, a conversation. As an poet, I don't have a words for you to like. I always appreciate you because you can curve out poetry from any words like that we see. The last time I read poems about nature, and this time we were talking about like four phases, four different perspective you have shown in your poetries. So that was a overwhelming experience for me talking with you again, and having you here in Astita Prakashan's conversation itself is a very great pleasure for us. So I'd like you to say something on your ending note in today's session, sir.
I'll just I wrote a poem on the
Yes.
book itself.
Hmm.
I'll just recite that for
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
it will give
sure,
an
sure.
idea. What I recall are dusty country roads. What I recall are dusty country roads with a row of shade trees planted on the sides. Walking on, I saw vast green grain fields with flocks of birds, flowers of many hues in the sides. I remember the school and college days, winged 20 years. It was winged, it passed so fast. So winged 20 years, humming like glowing like fireflies, glowing like fireflies. 20 years living with lean purses. Next 40 years building a career and securing bank balance. Attic of mind full of golden memories of life's little joys. Past 60 years, start writing poems like golden daffodils or fluttering yellow butterflies. Yellow lilies, yellow tulips, yellow daisies, and yellow chrysanthemums. Singing the songs, I ran into the rain, dancing dawn to dusk, rain dancing. This is a small poem I'm composed on the book itself after release
Yeah.
of book. It in a nutshell give an idea
Mm-hmm.
because I think that will give you an idea what I meant, what I try to convey through the poems. It's a life. Life should be celebrated. Life should not be on building riches. You are reaching
Mm-hmm.
a career. It is just like that. Everything that goes up will come down. That's a law. That's something cannot be unavoided. So it's all up to the God Almighty that way. That we cannot really say death is a bad thing. Right? Death brings an end. So, but death has to be respected. So, to me, that means silence. You have to bid audio to the dead people with silence, not by wailing loud or it's like that. But these things will be experienced. Very easy to say, very difficult. In one of these poems in book, I have written about my mother's death. I was literally frozen by my mother's death. And only at a moment after a sort of, going into a cocoon, I realized that I've lost everything precious in my life. So some moments are so overwhelming, we cannot just forget that. It will stay within us and it will flow out as poetry. And probably, and I think probably I had it in my DNA because both my parents were poets. So it's all a way of. I never needed much money when I was studying in college, and all my college mates, most of them, at least 3, 4 of them are now in states, close ones. My inner circle in the college, they are in states. But then nothing. Even today, when we get together, we go to an old tea shop where you get, this chai, glass, glass chai, this with some fritters or some crispies, and spend hours there. I remember in my college days, what the shop owner used to do. He knew us that we are going to sit there for a long time, drinking one tea only. So he used to get up. That old man used to get up and switch off the fan so that he don't want to incur electricity costs, at that. So that time of life, you would have enjoyed like anything. If even if I would have jumped and danced, nobody would have cared. But today I do, people will think that I'm slightly becoming senile.
Okay. That's a quite heavy moment for us. Taking like going back to the old days and thinking about it and the simplicity we perceive in things. So, sir, at the end, I just like to say this one thing that I had a very great time talking with you. We are Astitya Prakashan. We are very grateful to have you in our platform as an author, and you have been giving us this pleasure to host you every time. And that's like a great learning for us too. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you. That was nice talking to you about my own book. So, so you certainly brought some emotions back.
Mhm.
Thank you for that.